This week at the Internet Cafe, Art on the Net. Meet world-famous techno artist Lynn Hirschman-Leeson, editor of Clicking In, Hot Links to a Digital Culture. This is Ceto.org, a collaborative website where people work together to create works of art. And if you want to discover new cyber artists, check out art.net on the web. Welcome to the world of industrial art as performed by the Seamen and their robots, and you too can be a cyber artist with this program called Fractal Painter. Plus the new beta version of Paint Shop Pro coming up on our Cyber Blast. Art on the Net, this week at the Internet Cafe.
The Internet Cafe is made possible in part by Intel. One innovative idea always leads to another. Now there are connected CD-ROMs that link rich multimedia with related information on the Internet. For connected CD-ROMs, it's the Intel Pentium processor.
Hi, and welcome to the Internet Cafe. I'm Stewart Cheifet here as usual with Jane Wither and Andrew deVries. And we're at Cybersmith in Palo Alto, California, talking tonight about art on the net. And I think this is a little bit different from what we've done before. We've covered like music and writing and comics on the net, in which we really talked about the net as a new publishing medium. But here I think if you talk about art more generally, the net, the technology becomes part of the process, maybe redefines what art is, what the relationship is between the artist and the consumer.
You're actually getting to see some collaboration now of artists on the web, which I think is very interesting. And even actually non-artists, you can submit art to a website, your creation.
Sometimes there's a problem.
Right, exactly. And then other people can come in, they can finish it, they can add to it. You sort of create this mosaic of artworks. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's sort of a whole new experiment on the web.
And again, kind of redefines who is the artist, what is an artist.
Exactly.
You know, one of the things that's most interesting to me is the fact that we're starting to get these groups of artists who are starting to use the technology. So, I mean, typically there was the techno geeks on one side and the artists on the other, and you know, nobody wanted to go
Instead of bridging maybe these two mentalities.
Coming together, and then you know, you put a whole bunch of artists into this new technology, and they can start to look at it in a new way, and they can sort of step back from our experience and say, okay, what does this technology really mean to us as a culture, and what's it really doing? I think it's pretty
Well, a lot of the people hanging out at Cybersmith tonight that we're going to talk to are really going to cover those kinds of topics, so I think it's going to be very interesting. Art on the Net tonight here at the Internet Cafe.
So, Annette, you are a professional web designer and an artist in your free time as well, and you have a site that you really are hot on called the Ceto site. Tell me a little bit about Ceto.
Well, Ceto, it's a group of people, really. Firstly, it's a group of people who are artists. It's like I guess like an art co-op.
Like a collaborative
but
on
online.
the web.
Yeah. And at the website, we have archives of people's work, but that's really probably not the main thing. Like,
so people can store their work, they can go online and put up artwork.
Yeah, like that's probably the most basic thing Ceto is.
Okay.
What we really do is get together, talk on our mailing list, and dream up projects.
So there's a way that everybody communicates. All the artists are linked up via this mailing list.
Yeah.
And they talk. Now, what about projects where people work together?
We do a lot of that. That's our main thing.
That's kind of the core of it.
There's really simple things where you upload a seed image and it gets manipulated. So iterations, and it really sort of,
So the image itself is manipulated by different artists as you go
one
along.
after the other,
Wow.
and you just keep uploading them to the website, and then other artists get them off and change them again.
So does it make it better? Does it make for good art?
Sometimes it makes it better. Sometimes, you know, it's everybody's personal opinion.
Now, okay, so now take that a step further. Do people then also create, you know, large-scale collaborative pieces where you're maybe adding things to a group or?
Yeah, one of my favorite things, it's called Hybrid. It's really a bit hard to understand. It's very easy to participate in, but what you do, you've got one main image, and that has 4 unreserved squares around it.
Okay.
So if you like that image, you click on, you reserve one, and then you make an image that joins onto that.
So you're taking a picture and you're adding your picture onto someone else's picture.
Yeah. And so it seamlessly blends into this continuous image.
Interesting.
Right.
And how big can something like this get?
Right now it's got 770 images in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from a size perspective, this is something you could really only do on the internet.
Yeah, it's actually not able to be, it's not 2D at all, because each new image makes 3 new spaces available. So it's not possible in 2D space.
To do
it's only possible on the web.
On the web. How big do you think it would actually be if you tried to lay it out?
I can't even imagine. Sometimes I'm in there and I've done one image like a year ago, and I find it accidentally, and I think it wasn't there, was it? It's just like hard to understand. It's not like normal geography.
And you said a year ago, so so this one piece, this hybrid, has been going on for over a year.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
what, are there any things that have developed out of that? Like when you have, obviously a bunch of artists collaborating on things, there must be patterns that begin to evolve or different art that takes place. Have you noticed anything like that?
I don't know. We have a lot of projects. It seems like for every 10 that gets suggested, only one happens. And we have the panics are popular. The first thing I explained to you, where you put up an image and
Right.
there's like variations on that theme. And the grid theme is a big thing. We have all sorts of different grids.
Right.
We even make special grids for print. If magazines want to print
So
them.
people
Yeah.
can print it out
Yeah.
and do their own thing. Now, where does a site like this originate from? Who created it, or who was the brain behind it?
The main guy who started it is Ed Stastny. He actually lives in Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha,
He totally runs
which is
it from
really
there.
not what you would consider the art center of the United States,
Well,
anyway.
Ed does.
Really?
He
Yeah.
started in '93.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's something that even in the middle of the Midwest,
Oh, yeah.
you've got
Anywhere.
someone, and are people coming from all over the world?
Yeah, Australia. I met some guy from the Netherlands,
Really?
just everywhere. Yeah.
And so you're corresponding with all these people and talking online.
And manipulating their images, sharing art.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, Lynn, you are an artist in so many different media. You do film and video, you've done sculpture, you've done photography, you've done sort of performance art, I guess, in a way. We were talking at the beginning about the internet really not just being a publishing medium for art now, but kind of affecting the process of art, the definition of art and artist. Do you agree with that stuff? How do you see this relationship going?
Absolutely. I think it will redefine the way art is perceived, because new art will come that doesn't just imitate something from the past, but really uses the possibility and the potential of this technology as an inherent part of what it is. I think every time you have something that imitates the past, like the Dr. Caligari imitated plays and so forth, there's always that lag time till something finds its own, but I definitely think it will.
But what does that mean to you as an artist? You now have this new powerful tool. You've got the internet, you've got computers, and you've been doing this for 30 years, so you've seen the change. How has it changed what you can do, how you think about the way to talk to your public?
I think that that you become more sensitized to issues of interactivity and to dialogue, rather than seeing something only from a omniscient one perspective view, which has been something that has been prevalent up till now.
You mean, is this that sort of empowerment thing? It's not the artist coming down and delivering information to the consumer, but it's sort of a more two-way street now, this expression?
Well, more than two-way, and I kind of see it as an extension of Cubism, really, and Surrealism, because in Cubism you were able to see something from many sides, from various perspectives, and use chance and randomness, and the Surrealists did. So I see it really growing out of those early roots of art history.
You're obviously very techno-savvy, Lynn, and you're comfortable in this whole environment. And that's not true of all artists, as you know. There are musicians, composers, flat artists who say, no, this is the antithesis of art. This is chips and metal and plastic and all that stuff, and that interferes with the process. How do you convince people like that no, these technologies really can change art for you in a way, and you can use them?
Well, I don't think that you have to. I think people grow into this as it becomes more available, more accessible, easier to use. And I think that there isn't only one way of making a statement or an aesthetic statement. So I think there's room for all kinds of things to continue to happen.
You've got a book you just edited called Clicking In: Hot Links to the Digital Culture, in which you present lots of different experts, if you will, or authorities, people writing about this relationship of art and technology. What was the idea behind the book? What are people going to learn if they read that stuff?
I think what they'll learn is that digital culture is affecting every aspect of society, and indeed will affect their life, their feelings about themselves, their society, their boundaries, access, politics. So you
can't hide from this. I mean, it's going to affect your life.
You can have blinders on, but it will affect your sense of community, sense of speed, time, and all the really major issues that we're going to grow into in the next century.
Now, you're working on a new film now, which is really using a kind of computer idea, which is the virtual set, only you're doing it in a different way than it's ever been done before. So
Right.
tell us how you're bringing this technology into the film world.
Well, the story is about Ada Lovelace, who invented the first computer
Right.
program, which is Byron's daughter. And so I thought it was really appropriate to create virtual sets for her life, which took place in Victorian England. So we created Photoshop images on the computer and found a way to directly link these through an Ultimate process directly onto the film and tape, so that the actors really interact with
So
nothing.
in other words, they're not just on a blue screen. There really is a real live environment around them.
No, the environment is on a monitor. And so they look at the monitor,
Okay.
and they could tell where the fireplace is, where the window is, where the furniture is, but they're really in a completely empty room.
And what's the film called?
It's called Conceiving Ada.
Conceiving Ada.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Lynn.
Sure.
So Lily, tell me what art.net is all about. What would I find there?
Art.net is a website, and it is an artist community. And you find virtual gallery rooms and virtual studios that artists curate and maintain themselves.
So these are places that they maintain themselves. Are
Right.
they visual artists only, or do you have a variety of different types of?
We have quite a few different types of artists, and we're always open to more types. We currently have, of course, visual artists, which are painters,
Oil paintings,
Right.
watercolors, those types
Right.
of things. What about sculpting?
we have sculptors.
So I'm trying to have a hard time visualizing showing your sculpture on the net, because I think sculpture is a sense of very sensual
Yeah.
experience. So how do you show that effectively?
Well, some artists just do still pictures of their sculpture, and then some artists actually use still pictures and link them together so that you can get emotion and actually see all around the
So you
sculpture.
can move and see the depth of
Yeah.
it. Well, that's
Right.
interesting.
We also have poets, and we have hacker artists on our site, which is
Hacker
really
artists?
cool. Yeah.
What's that?
Well, it's a hacker who's really into making art with their hacks.
That could be pretty interesting.
Yes, it is cool.
So, and you've got some hacker artists at your
We
at
do.
your
We
website
currently
as well.
have 4.
Now, what do you? How does it work with copyright protection? If these artists are using the or their studios on the website, people can just download their artwork?
They can, though the artist has complete control over the copyright. They can give as much as they want to the viewer or as little. You know, they can limit it to just screen viewing, or they can say you can use my work in non-commercial stuff. So it depends on what the artist decides they want to do on their their space.
I'm sure they probably have some limitations on making modifications to the artwork, though, too. I would
Yes,
expect.
that's also in the artist information about how they want their art treated.
Now, tell me what's that whole idea behind having art.net? I mean, what was the objective in creating it?
The main reason was to create a space where artists could show their work on the internet via the web. Such a great medium.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. But what about censorship using the internet? I mean, is that an issue?
Yeah, it is very much so. There's laws that have been passed, like the Communications Decency Act, which was part of the telecom bill, that got passed, and we're really concerned about that, and we really would like to see that get defeated in the Supreme Court.
But there are issues around, I mean, certainly for minors going to websites, there's issues there. Is your concern more about inhibiting an artist? Or?
It's about making everyone talk on the level of a child on the internet, as opposed to giving the children tools so that, or their parents tools so that they can censor for themselves on their local machine, instead of trying to censor all the content on the internet by going to the content providers.
So getting back to art.net and all of this group, or I guess it's almost like a community of artists
is.
that you've created. And
International.
exactly, yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
actually you've got some Russian artists and,
Yeah.
and lots of people from different places in South America as well, which I thought was really interesting. Now, with this group of people, their objective is just to show their work, or are people buying their work over the internet at this point? Or
It's more just the objective at art.net. Artists come there knowing that it's a non-commercial space. And so their main goal is to show their work and to get exposure, and also to use the web as a new medium. because just as you use watercolor or oils, you know, the web is a medium in itself.
It's a new paintbrush of the future.
Right. Well,
In a sense.
maybe one of them.
Thanks for your time, Lily. It was great.
On tonight's Cyberblast, we're sending you 6 files, more than 4 megabytes of data during the next 120 seconds. You can actually see the data downloading to your PC right now over here. Now, to get the data through the TV signal, you need an expansion card for your computer called a TV modem. We'll tell you more about that later. You can also download these files from the web using your regular telephone modem. Download time on the phone at 28.8 will be about 30 minutes. Now let me tell you what we're sending you. First of all, the newest version of a great image editing program called Paint Shop Pro. This is the beta edition of the newest version, 4.12. It's a great creative tool that lets you edit images in 30 different formats, and it comes complete with some terrific painting and drawing tools. Next, we're sending you a wonderful creative program called Greatest Paper Airplanes from Kitty Hawk Software. This software has 3D diagrams and plans for making 25 different paper airplane models. If you're into examining works of art on your computer screen, you'll definitely want the next piece of software we're sending you called Loop. A loop is a magnifying glass, and this program is a virtual magnifying glass that lets you look closely at any spot on the screen where you move your cursor. We're also sending you a cool little utility called Animouse. This lets you customize your cursor and turn it into your favorite animated artistic symbol. And finally, we're sending you 2 very artsy screensavers. One is a lovely painting by Elsie Russell that can be loaded as a screensaver. The other is the Moving Pixels Jelly Logo screensaver for Windows 95. Both cool ways to customize your desktop. Remember, we're sending you all 6 files right now in over 4 megabytes of data in under 2 minutes using our Cyberblast technology. That's about 1 megabyte every 30 seconds. If you need information on how to receive a Cyberblast or on how to install a TV modem, just check out the Internet Cafe section of our website at www.pctv.com. You'll also find information there on how to download these files directly from the net. So the download is just about complete. Have fun with your new software. And that wraps up this Cyberblast on the Internet Cafe. I'm Giles Bateman.
So Eric, you are a graduate student studying robotics at Cal Berkeley, and you've also been involved with a lot of industrial performance artists, folks who seem to take robotics and other things and incorporate them into some pretty wild performances. How did you get involved in all that?
Well, I mean, just ever since I was at Berkeley, I started being involved with robotics, and when the web sort of started to become popular, I incorporated a lot of robots into the web. So people
how
could
do you
actually
mix that? Mix webs and robots and...
Well, just basically allowing people to control robots over the web so they could actually move physical things and they could browse real spaces right from their laptop or their desktop machine.
Right.
So, I mean, it's sort of, I'd always been fascinated by these other groups like Survival Research Laboratories.
Which is an industrial art group here in San Francisco.
Right. I mean, I mean, the founder, Mark Pauline, had been experimenting and doing things with larger scale robots for quite a while. And obviously I wanted to bring some of my own sort of interest and expertise into there. I mean, there's already an amazing diversity of people down there that have amazing qualities. But
so tell me what one of those kind of a robotic performances would look like.
Well, for those, a lot of people may have seen it, but they're essentially just an enormous number of very large-scale industrial robots and pieces of machinery, other pieces of technology.
And these are like thousands of pounds, tens of feet high. And
yes, several tons. Walking around, some of them are just large. There's like a huge Tesla coil. There's a lot of just different elements that go into these shows.
And are they mostly run by engines? Are they run by electricity?
All different things. There's a model of a V1 rocket that's one-to-one scale. Yeah, there's jet engines. There's a number of different things that are involved.
Now it sounds kind of dangerous. Has anything ever happened at any of these events?
Well, I mean, basically it's been pretty safe. I mean, surprisingly. I mean, Mark Pauline himself has been injured, and there's been other injuries, but they've been people that were pretty much out of hand. I mean, there was a show when they were in Europe, actually, where an individual actually sort of tried to basically commit suicide.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the guy essentially was sort of crazed and wanted to help work on the shows and got a little out of hand and sort of built his own pipe bomb and just sort of held it, and he lost an eye. And
oh my God!
He didn't really do too well. But I mean, it's actually a really safe thing. It looks very dangerous.
No,
but,
you didn't make it sound very safe.
well, these are these sort of strange outside people. The people that are involved, everyone sort of looks out for everybody, and there are a lot. Everyone knows what they're doing. I mean, it's definitely a level of number of experts in their field.
Right. Okay, so now you've got this pretty much highly visual, highly a lot of volume, explosions going on. How do you take industrial art like that and then put it on the web and still make it interesting and attractive to people?
Right. Well, the things at SRL are all basically discarded pieces of essentially military equipment, a lot of them. So we took the internet, which is sort of in a sense this military infrastructure that was built up, and we are using it as this large scale, another large machine to add to the show. And we, of course, initially just allowed people to look at the past show performances, pictures, things like that, and then actually announce shows that were going on. And this is important because these shows are very much something that has to be kept secret when and where it's going to happen.
So you can't even publicize these shows?
It's very difficult. If we do, it just almost immediately gets shut down. So there was a show last year, we waited until about maybe 15, 20 hours before the show until on the web we said what it would be.
And then the web was where you...
That was our broadcast medium. And of course we've done some webcasts where we've actually had either See You, See Me and M-Bone audio and video broadcasts.
Okay. All right, well thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
All right, Jeremy, this is actually software in a paint can, and it's here because it's a paint program. It's Fractal Painter. And you use the stuff, you travel around the world actually creating pieces of art using this software. And we have some examples over here. I guess what's interesting to see in your kind of little gallery here is that you don't only have to look at computer art on a computer screen, but in a traditional way with a canvas hanging up on a wall. Do you actually prefer seeing your stuff in this form?
Well, this form of output is really important to me aesthetically. I mean, I really strive for the power that you can get when, for instance, we print onto canvas, the beauty of the archival watercolor paper or the vinyl. So that is very important to me. At the same time, actually, within the digital domain, another piece of magic that's opened up to me is the ability to literally record my entire process.
What does that mean, record your process?
Well, what it means is literally everything I do in creating one of these paintings, I can play back on different backgrounds, different
So you can
aspect
actually go in and
ratios.
redo what you're doing, or actually teach someone else, I would think, how you got to where you are.
That, and also I can actually share the entire process by converting these paintings into animations that I can then put on my website as GIF animations, or onto video or QuickTime.
Well, what's really cool too is here in this little PowerBook and your little Wacom tablet, you have your whole studio. So you can get a little briefcase, get on a plane, go anywhere around the world, and have all your tools with you.
Absolutely. It's quite amazing, actually, because I have literally at my fingertips oil paints to watercolors. And in fact, one of my first projects was to draw Richard Branson live on board a Virgin Atlantic inaugural flight into San Francisco.
Plane.
Literally, battery operated on the plane.
All right, quickly, Fractal Painter, if I'm not a talented artist like you and I want to play around with this stuff, would I be able to get something done with this?
Well, it's a magical program, but if you are coming into art for the first time and into computer painting, there's a simpler version of this called Dabbler, which has art tutorials included with it, which may be more appropriate. But this program is indeed magical.
All right, now you do live art with this thing, and I want to ask Jane to come in here and be a model for us, so we have something really attractive to paint rather than me.
Okay.
Now, I'll get out of the way here, and let's do a live painting.
Absolutely.
So anybody tempted to become a cyber artist after all of this?
I was pretty impressed with the CETO site. And that was seeing all that collaboration going on among artists on the web was really amazing. I mean, they were really using the web as a new canvas, and it's a virtual canvas. I mean, it's they've got this thing on there called the High Grid, and it's a collection of all these different artists' work coming together in this beautiful tapestry, and it's so large that it could only fit in cyberspace, really. I mean, it's not something you could have in a gallery.
So it really is a new kind of canvas that couldn't exist in the
Exactly.
world.
Exactly.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think that the capacity for creation is phenomenal using technology and, traditional artistry, whether it's sculpting or whether it's, visual artists or performing arts. But I think the most compelling thing for me is as the viewer, as the person that enjoys the art, whether I live in a big city like San Francisco or I live in a small town, I can see all of the greatest art galleries in the world out of my own room.
Well, that's true. We didn't really talk about it much, but you can visit the Louvre on the net or on a CD-ROM, the National Gallery, the Barnes Collection, all that stuff, which really does expose art to people who might not otherwise have access to it. Your point is interesting, too, because you think of the artist and the canvas, this very personal, private thing, and all of a sudden art has been defined as a public, open, collaborative thing, which really is a new form of art. Interesting stuff. That's it for tonight at the Internet Cafe. We'll see you here next week.
The Internet Cafe is made possible in part by Intel. One innovative idea always leads to another. Now there are connected CD-ROMs that link rich multimedia with related information on the Internet. For connected CD-ROMs, it's the Intel Pentium processor. Videotapes of the Internet Cafe are available for $24.95 each. To order your copy, call 1-800-916-PCTV. We'll help you stay on top of the rapidly changing world of computers and personal technology. Call today for your copy of this episode of the Internet Cafe or any of our other award-winning programs. When ordering, please ask for tapes by show number and title. That's 1-800-916-PCTV.